Before we get into the episode, I am thrilled to announce that the EntreMD Business School is open for enrollment. The EntreMD Business School is the only school of its kind for physicians who want to build 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses. Over the last 2 years, we have had hundreds of doctors go through the school with unbelievable results. Some of them run brands, some of them run private practices, some of them are coaches, some have other kinds of service-based businesses or product-based businesses. And we've had people come in and cross the 6-figure milestone, cross the 7-figure milestone, cross the multiple 7-figure milestone. You will be in a place where you'll get the coaching, the community, the accountability that you need to thrive as an entrepreneur, especially in the times that we're in. So maybe you've been following me for a while. Maybe you've been getting so much out of the EntreMD podcast and you've been wondering, how can I work with Dr. Una and the community more? Well, this is your chance. Come join us in the EntreMD Business School. It is application only. So go to entremd.com/business to turn in your application. I cannot tell you how many doctors have made statements like this. I recovered my investment in the first week. I recovered my investment in my bank account in the first 90 days. This is the best investment I've made in myself ever. I want you to have that kind of story, not just a story of building a great business that serves a lot and earns a lot, but having a business that gives you the freedom to live life on your terms. So don't wait any longer. entremd.com/business. And now for the episode. Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD Podcast, where it's all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una. Well, hello, and welcome to episode 301 of the EntreMD Podcast. I cannot even believe it myself, but in a little over 3 years of podcasting, we have recorded over 300 episodes. This is episode 301. And I really just wanted to come on and share my reflections with you. I've been thinking about the number one lesson I've learned from recording 300 podcast episodes. And man, it's been quite a journey. I've told the story many times of how I started the podcast. I did a poll in the EntreMD Facebook group, and I'm like, what kind of content do you like to consume? Like, how do you like to learn? And at that point, I was doing a ton of videos, right? I was doing a lot of YouTube videos, and I was like, video is the number one thing. And to my shock, over 90% of the people said that, podcast is their preferred method. And I didn't know anything about podcasting. So I literally Googled, how do you start a podcast? And I found Buzzsprout, big shout out to Buzzsprout. That's the hosting platform that I use. And they had an article on how to start a podcast, and I kind of just followed what was there. I started it with, my iPhone and the earphones that come with the iPhone, first few episodes, that's the way it was recorded. And, and we just, started from what we knew and then just aimed to get better and better. The entire first year, it was an episode a week every Monday. And now we have 2 episodes every week, one on Monday, one on Thursday. Haven't missed an episode yet. And I'm so grateful for that, the consistency. I will tell you that there are times I was so excited to, get on and record a podcast. And there are other times when I was not as excited, but I was committed. I was committed to showing up every week, twice a week, to inspire you, to give you action steps that will move your business to the next level, to help you overcome limiting beliefs, to share stories of what is possible with you. I was committed. And I'm just grateful. Like, here we are, 300 episodes later. And I was thinking, like, what is the biggest lesson I've learned from this, right? Like from the whole thing of podcasting for this long and producing this many episodes. And I really think the lesson I'm walking away with is the concept of playing the long game, right? And I'll unpack what that means, but it's just value for playing the long game. As an entrepreneur, there's so many things that you can do that will create immediate wins. And podcasting is, it's more of a long game strategy, but it is something that can create, it can create breakthroughs in your business right away. But I'm looking at the long-term value of it, right? Like, so we've done this for over 3 years, so 3 years and 3 months at the time of this recording. We have now over 300 episodes as I physically record this. And, we've had 421,000 downloads, 120 countries, and so many 5-star reviews and so many PMs and DMs of how the podcast has changed people's lives and all of that. And it's just mind-boggling, right? The impact a podcast can have. But it's really doing that over that amount of time, right? Like over 300 episodes, over 3.5 years. Like, it's not something that is overnight. But when I think about the ripple effect of it, because it has been done for so long, I'm falling in love again with the long game. Okay. Entrepreneurship, if you chase it as I want to make a buck and pay my bills, it's a very hard, painful journey. But if you treat it as, yes, I am going to create these short-term wins, but I'm also playing the long game, it's amazing what happens. And that's where you see the rich rewards of being an entrepreneur, right? So let me just stop here and say this. If you're an entrepreneur and you have these times when you're discouraged and things like that, I want to challenge you not to quit. I want to challenge you to stop, like Jim Rohn will say, stop wishing things were easier, wish you were better, right? Like, so if there are areas where you're struggling, learn the skills, build the relationships, invest in yourself, come join us in the EntreMD Business School, get better and win and stay in the game and stay in the game long enough, right? Okay, so I was thinking, okay, I've been in this long enough. And what has been the ripple effect of being in it long enough? Okay, so let me share this with you, okay? The first thing is my positioning, okay? So, of course, if you listen to the podcast, you know that I'm all about helping doctors build profitable 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses so they have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on their terms. That's what I do. I help doctors build thriving businesses. Now, over 3 years and over 300 episodes, I have come to this place where I've positioned myself as an expert in this space, right? Over time. You don't get that with 2 episodes. You don't get that with 20 episodes, but here we are, right? And it's kind of like, I would literally go into Facebook groups and see that, I've been tagged. Someone's like, hey, I'm starting a direct primary care, practice. And I need to start thinking like an entrepreneur. I need to understand, money. I have to get comfortable charging and things like that. What do you guys recommend I do? And it's always amazing. I'm so grateful and honored when I would see people, tag me and say, hey, go check out Dr. Una's podcast, the EntreMD Podcast, right? Or, somebody saying, I want to do a book launch. And so I was like, oh, she did an episode on that. Go check it out on the EntreMD Podcast. I want to get comfortable selling. A lot of times people talk about business and the podcast comes up over and over and over and over again. And many of these are even by people I don't directly know, but they're people who are listening to the podcast and they're like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely changing my life. So over time, right now, this is the value of doing something long enough, right? And I plan to be podcasting for as long as I'm an entrepreneur. I love doing what I do, right? So it has positioned me as the expert, okay? And so for you may be doing a podcast, you may be doing a YouTube channel, you may be doing a blog. I want to challenge you to stay in the game long enough to position yourself as the boss, okay? So that's number one. Number 2, the second thing that being in it long enough has done is that it really has made me a better speaker, a better speaker. And from the beginning of time, I've been screaming that one of the fastest ways to grow your business is by speaking. That is speaking online, offline, on physical stages, on virtual summits, being a guest on someone else's podcast, doing your own Facebook, IG lives, and things like that. It's speaking. But I want you to think about it. I do on the EntreMD podcast, I do 2 talks a week. Okay. You do 2 talks a week for 52 weeks. That's 104 talks. You get better. I get better at telling my stories. I get better at, articulating my concepts. I get better at articulating my value. I get better at learning how to quote unquote sell on stage, right? When I'm making offers and I'm inviting you to come and join the EntreMD Business School. Like, I just become a better speaker. I am better at speaking on the fly, right? Like, because I've done it and done it and done it and done it again. I'm so much more comfortable when I show up as a guest on other people's podcasts. I'm so much more comfortable when I do an IG live, when I'm on a physical stage, so much more comfortable. Why? Because I've put in the reps. I've put in the reps. I've spoken when I felt like it. I've spoken when I didn't feel like it. I've spoken under all kinds of circumstances. I've spoken when it hasn't been convenient. Rather than miss an episode, I've been in a hotel room and I go and sneak in the closet, right? So I don't have as much echo and I record there. I've made it happen. I am a much better speaker because I've been podcasting for over 3 years and I've produced over 300 episodes. Okay. So that's number two. Number three is I am a lot more aware of, my methods, right? Like, how do I produce the results I produce? How do I produce the results I produce in my clients? Because here's the deal. There is a concept called unconscious competence, which means there are things that you know how to do, but you're not even aware how you do them. And so because you're not aware, you can't teach somebody else. You can't reproduce those results through somebody else because you don't really know how you got them. But the more I try to help people through the podcast, the more I have to sit and download and unscramble what all those, what my competencies are so I can explain it and help somebody else get the results, right? And so, for instance, oh, you're a great speaker on stage. How do you do that, right? And you're like, yeah, I just do it. It's my thing. No, it's not. There are things that you do. And you guys know when I'm preparing for an event and, when I'm going to speak at an event, I'll come here and say, okay, this is the way I prepare for an event. To do that, I have to stop and think, what exactly do I do? Right? What exactly do I do to get my mind right? What exactly do I do when the fear comes up? What exactly do I do to articulate what I'm saying so clearly? What do I do so that I can carry the crowd along? I can get them to connect. What do I do so I can inspire the crowd to decide to take an action that will create radical transformation in their lives? What do I do? So the more I produce episodes with the goal of helping you experience a change, the more I'm able to come up with, oh, that is how I do that, right? That is how I do that. So you'll notice, I'm here to serve. And so when I'm preparing for a talk, I'll come tell you how I did it. When I'm preparing to do a book launch, when I do a book launch, I come back and say, okay, this is how we did the book launch. This is how many books we sold in week 1. I did that with the EntreMD Method book. And if you haven't got that book, please go get a copy, the EntreMD Method book. You can get it on Amazon. And I'll come tell you, okay, this is how this is exactly how I did that, right? When mind drama comes up, I'll say, this is exactly how I did that. When I'm like, okay, this is the way I read. So each book I read changes my life, right? I come record a podcast on how I did that. So it's made me so aware of my methods. It's made me so aware of my zone of genius that I'm able to then take those things and teach it on the podcast, take those things, mine it, teach it in the EntreMD Business School. And because of that, we are creating mind-boggling results. So in the EntreMD Business School for 2023, my decision was we are going to have the biggest results that we've had. We have, revenue targets for the percentage of doctors that are going to hit 6 figures, 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, and all of these things. And one of the things I know I have to do is I have to download what exactly it is I do. So I'm able to teach it. I help people get results easier, faster, bigger. Okay. So I'm a lot more aware of my methods. I'm a lot more aware of my zone of genius. So that's number 3. Number four, oh my goodness, after 300 episodes, I have this big library. And I didn't think about this, when I started it, but I have this big library. And so what that does is it's almost like an encyclopedia of entrepreneurship for physicians. So when people are like, oh, I brought some staff on board, I want to know how to leverage my team to get bigger results, right? I have podcast episodes for that. How to start like a YouTube channel, a podcast. I have an episode for that. What's stopping you from doing that? How to overcome that? I have a podcast episode for that. How to overcome comparitis or overwhelm or mindset drama. I have episodes for that. What to do when business is slow. I have an episode for that. How to dominate your market. There's 7-figure habits. Like there are all kinds of episodes. So now when people ask questions, I will just go like, hey, go look at this episode, go listen to this episode, right? And that is beyond amazing. So it's almost like I have this body of work that's like my legacy that I've created. Like it's like I'm doing this brain dump, like all these brilliant thoughts I have about entrepreneurship that has helped me not only create multiple 7 and multiple 7-figure businesses, but has helped me help my clients create 7 and multiple 7-figure businesses. It's wild, but I have all of these things. And with the EntreMD Business School, a lot of the episodes are from there, right? They would ask me questions and things like that. And I would just go make an episode for them and I'll send the link and say, okay, here you go. Go listen to it, right? And so it's just such a beautiful body of work that I know would change lives all over the world for as long as I'm here and after. So literally, like 24/7, I am talking to people and I'm changing lives because I have this big body of work that I built over 3 years. Okay. So mind blowing, Okay. So that's the fourth thing, is that library. And the fifth thing, which I think is, this is one of the things I love about entrepreneurship. The fifth thing is unexpected opportunities. Unexpected opportunities. The thing about entrepreneurship is you play your part, but you never really have an idea how it's going to play out, right? And so, if I can pull up some examples, like, Dr. Rachel Rubin, she's a urologist, fellowship trained in sex medicine. She has a direct specialty care clinic. And oh my goodness, she shared her story so many times. She's been profitable from day one. Now, when she started doing this, she embraced the challenge of showing up on social media, knowing that that is a free tool you can use to grow your business. She didn't know when she was doing that she'll be, she'll get connected to Mark Cuban, the billionaire, right? Owner of Dallas Mavericks. She did not know that she'd be featured in the New York Times. She did not know, there's so many opportunities that presented themselves because she showed up as an entrepreneur. And it always happens that way, where it's not what you expected, but it's what happens. It's just the way entrepreneurship is, right? All these pleasant surprises. And so when I think about in the course of, podcasting for 3 years and producing 300 episodes, what has happened? I have had speaking gigs, paid speaking gigs come out of the podcast. They listen to the podcast. They know I've spoken on stage. They're like, hey, would you come talk at our event? We negotiate and all of that stuff. Wonderful opportunities. I've had opportunities to acquire new clients. And there are people who are looking for what I do, and I'm perfectly suited to support them. And they would listen to the podcast and decide, okay, this is a person to work with me. And there are so many people who are in the EntreMD Business School that literally that is how they came. And let me just stop here and say this, right? If you listen to the EntreMD podcast, you love it. You've been applying some of the things and you're like, wow, look at the results that I'm getting. And you know that you want more. You know that you want to take this to the next level. You know that you don't want to be in cruise control in your business anymore. You want to show up like an entrepreneur who can compete on any stage with any entrepreneur. Then the EntreMD Business School is for you. Okay, so I want you to not just think about it and procrastinate on it anymore. I want to invite you to come join us. Like, I'm listening to this, and let me tell you, today alone, I have had, one person from the business school reach out and she's like, oh my goodness, just to share this here, my business has crossed 2 million. And this person's business is a little over, I think, 2 years, right? Someone else had a major crisis in her business, but she came out on top. She's like, if not for EBS, I would not have survived this, right? And she came up on top. And let me tell you something. She is setting up her business over the next 12 months. I will not be surprised if she doubles her revenue. And she's already past 7 figures in annual revenue, right? In this same day, right? And this is a weekend, okay? So if you're like, no, I want to do it like I mean it, come join us, okay? It's application only. So entremd.com/business. You may be thinking, I don't have the time. There's not a better time, right? Like, we don't find time, we make time. And this is the time. Like, you may say, this is not the time to do this. The question is, when is the time for your dreams? This is the time. This is the time. I'm not sure if I can do it. Yes, you can. That is why you have the accountability. That's why you have the community. That's why you get to have live sessions, live group sessions with me every week and things like that. We're there to get this done together. Okay. If you are committed to your dreams, I am 1,000% committed to you. And I'm telling you, let's do it. So entremd.com/business. Okay. So I've had a lot of clients come in through the podcast. It has also been an opportunity for me to serve the physician community. So there are many doctors who listen to this who I may never work with directly, never work with in the EntreMD Business School or VIP Day or private coaching or any of those things. But I've had the opportunity to have an impact in their life where they believe they could, where they took next steps in their businesses, where they started using social media to grow their businesses, where they started speaking on stage. I've had all of these kind of things. It is an opportunity for me. And you know that I'm trying to help 100,000 physicians. So, hey, like I'm on my way, right? I've had opportunities to serve my current clients at a higher level. So like I told you, a lot of the episodes, I would see them ask questions in the Facebook group. Some of them I'm answering them directly. And some of them I would just come on if I feel like it's a little longer that I can do in the Facebook group. Or if I notice it's a trend, then I'll just come make a podcast episode from it. So it's a value. Like if you come into the EntreMD Business School Facebook group, you will see people say, hey, I just listened to episode 293. Oh my goodness, this is exactly what I needed. I was in a little bit of a funk and the people are like, oh yeah, that was so good. I listened to it yesterday. Others are like, let me go check it out. It is an opportunity for me to continue to serve my current clients. Okay. And then it also gave me an unbelievable opportunity for networking, because then I get to interview people. And let me tell you, in the process of building relationships, as I leverage my platform to let people tell their stories, I can trace hundreds of thousands of dollars to the networking opportunities that have come through this alone. And these are all things that I did not see coming. Right. And so, 300 episodes of podcasting has really opened my eyes to the power of playing the long game. It is a beautiful thing to do. Beautiful. And so I just want to stop here and challenge you as an entrepreneur. If you're not in the game, and what I mean by that is maybe you really want to start a business. Like this is something, if you're 90, you didn't do it and you turn 90, you'll regret it. So you really want to start a business. So you started, but you're in cruise control. I want to challenge you to get in the game. Challenge you to say, okay, I'm going to do this entrepreneurship thing like I mean it. We have one life. This is not the rehearsal. This is the life, right? I want to challenge you to do that. And I also want to challenge you to plan to stay in the game. Like, don't do it for a week and say it's not working. Don't do it for 3 months and say it's not working. There was a doctor in the EntreMD Business School who started her practice. I don't remember exactly how long it's been, but I think it's been more than 9 months. And it was a little challenging and all of that. And she posted today, she's like, yes, like last week for the first time, I hit the daily goal that I wanted for patient volume. What if she quit? What if she stopped? And I have no doubt that she's going to build a wildly successful business, wildly successful. But you can't quit. You can't quit. You stay in it for the long game, because the longer you stay in it, and not just stay in it like cruise control. Remember, I said get in the game. The longer you stay in the game, where you're doing your part, where you're putting the effort, where you're embracing, you're embracing the discomfort, the more you do that, the bigger the snowball you create, where every new day takes you to a place where you start getting bigger results faster. Don't quit. Don't quit. I can't tell you how many times. You know what? Let me tell you this. The EntreMD Business School used to be a month-to-month membership. Like you could start, my recommendation is you stay a year, but you could quit anytime. And I stopped that. I stopped that because it was so painful for me to see somebody come in, stay for 6 months, get some wins and say, oh, I got everything I need, I'm out. I'm like, no, ma'am. No, sir, you didn't get everything. There's more stuff. Everything you've accomplished up till now is a stepping stone for what comes next. It used to break my heart. It was for my mental health that I made it a year-long program. And even at a year, I'm like, Okay, guys, when I was building the school, I had a tagline for it in my mind. Okay. And the tagline was the only school you'll never want to graduate from, right? Because I know that there are phases of entrepreneurship. I know that there are challenges that come in entrepreneurship. I know that. And I know you need a community, and I know you need accountability, and I know you need the coaching. You don't outgrow that in a year. And that's the absolute truth, right? And so, there are people who've been there, for 3 years, because that's how old the school is now. We call them EBS masters. They're hashtags like EBS for life, flying around in the group and stuff like that. And I appreciate that because it's a don't quit. So don't quit. Keep playing offense. Stay in the game. Don't quit. The longer you stay in it, the better it is. The better your results are. The long game matters. And you cannot predict how good the results you'll get from the long game are. Play the long game. If you're listening to this and you're in the EntreMD Business School, I'm going to invite you to consider adopting the tagline, #EBS for life. Right? I want to invite you to do that. I didn't come up with it. The doctors in the school came up with that hashtag, right? But I want to invite you to adopt that. If you're not in the business school, you should be, come join us, okay? But otherwise, I want you to commit to your dreams. Commit to the business you're trying to build. Don't quit. Don't stop. I'm telling you all these things that happened. They happened in 3 years of podcasting. When I become a podcaster for a decade, what do you think that would be like? Right? What do you think that would be like? And so I know I've said it a gazillion times, get in the game, engage fully, play full offense, and don't you quit. What is on the other side is so much better than anything you could have imagined. Don't quit. Okay. Now, this episode, I have a special request for you to celebrate 300 episodes. I would love for you to do 2 things. Okay. So one is I want you to take a screenshot of this. I want you to post it on social media. And I want you to tell people why they should listen to the EntreMD podcast, why they should subscribe and listen to it. You can use the hashtag EntreMD. I'd love to reshare, shout you out. Thank you for doing that. And the second thing that I'm going to tell you to do is, if you haven't already, please write us a review on iTunes. It really does help us get the word out there. It makes the algorithms happy so they can show it. They can show the podcast to other people, because my goal is to help 100,000 physicians build profitable businesses so they can live life and practice medicine on their terms. And nobody's coming to do that for us. We are going to do that. We are the Calvary. So I'm depending on you, the Calvary, to get the word out today. Okay. So thank you so much for listening. And nothing will make me happier than knowing that you're fully engaged, you're playing a full offense, and you have made a quality decision not to quit. Okay. Thanks for listening. See you on the next episode of the EntreMD Podcast. If you love listening to the EntreMD podcast, I want to invite you to join EntreMD On Demand. It is my signature subscription program that gives you access to a library of business courses designed to help you do one thing as a physician entrepreneur, and that is to thrive. Just head out to EntreMD.com/on demand, and I'd love to have you join us. See you on the inside.